Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes? Yes. Awesome. My name is Christy. I'm a Tisch Scholar here at Tufts, and I work alongside Alejandro, and we're both Tisch Scholars working on the Stigma Unstuck project. Just a little bit about Tisch Scholars. We're a cohort of students who dedicate our time to civic engagement in areas that we're interested in. So Alejandro and I work at the Cambridge Health Alliance, and the focus of our project is on mental health. So we're really excited to bring this program to you today. I'll just tell you more about Stigma Unstuck. Stigma Unstuck, a mental health art series at Tufts, is a multi-event art series aimed at bringing greater awareness and understanding to mental health issues in order to facilitate shifts in attitudes that perpetuate stigma and discrimination in our community. Stigma Unstuck is coordinated by a team of Tisch Scholars, so myself and Alejandro, working with the Community Health Improvement of Cambridge Health Alliance and the Tufts Community Health Department. Some other people that I'd like to shout out, Lisa Buchalacchio, my supervisor at Cambridge Health Alliance, she's been amazing, as well as Yolanda Colaco from the Tufts Community Health Department. They have all put in a lot of work into this, and I'm really excited to be part of it and to bring this to Tufts. And now I'll be introducing a member of the class of 1985, an alum, Zach Orlov.
Good evening. Welcome to the college edition of This Is My Grave. My name is Zach Orlov, and I was a This Is My Grave storyteller 2 seasons ago, and a proud member of a community made up of nearly 800 stories from across the country and other parts of the world. I have lived a painfully full life. I started getting sick a few blocks from here. I also started getting well with friends who have become beacons in the storms that have beset me. Tonight, we'll hear 9 performances presented by a very talented storyteller who are going to tell us about their lives, living and working to maintain their mental health. Please welcome the program manager for This Is My Brave, Katie Grana.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Katie Grana. I am a program manager at This Is My Brave. Jennifer Marshall, our co-founder and executive director, is unable to be here tonight, so I will share a piece of her story with you. Jen thought that her life was over when she learned she had mental illness 14 years ago at the age of 26. For Jen, that rock bottom was the beginning of what would become something beautiful, only she didn't know it at the time. At the time, she wondered if life were worth living at all. Active Minds, the leading suicide prevention nonprofit on college campuses, reports that 39% of college students experience a significant mental health issue, and 2/3 of students with anxiety or depression do not seek treatment. With suicide currently the second leading cause of death among our young adults, This Is My Brave couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer. We've launched our college pilot program through an inspiration grant from Alkermes and the generous support of the Ruderman Family Foundation, because we believe we can save lives by shining a light on true, inspiring stories of recovery from students who are not only surviving, but thriving despite mental health challenges. So much so, our tagline is "Storytelling Saves Lives." This is our first production made up of all college students. These incredible students have come together to bring their stories of resilience and hope to the stage because they know that their stories have the power to encourage their peers to not give up. It gets better. Help is out there. By opening up the conversation about mental health through storytelling, we're breaking down those unfair societal pressures that tell us perfection is key. It's okay to not be okay. By telling our stories, we normalize the fact that our brains get sick sometimes too. And we need to be there for each other by having these real, honest conversations about how we're doing. Our brave cast tonight is joining our community of storytellers from all over the US and Australia who've decided to be brave and put their stories out there. Over 750 of them who have shared their heartbreaking, inspiring stories on our stages in 60 plus shows thus far. It's our mission to get to a place where we no longer have to call it brave for talking openly about these issues. We believe it should simply be called talking. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the lead producer of This Is My Brave College Edition, Dr. Elizabeth Driscoll.
Hello, I'm so excited to see all of you here this evening. So welcome to This Is My Brave College Edition. Thank you so much for coming to see these performances this evening. You're going to hear some really remarkable stories. So we're here this evening to highlight the reality that nearly 40% of college students experience a significant mental health issue. And by attending tonight's performance, you are helping to expand the conversation of mental health on college campuses. We need students to know that it's okay to struggle and it's okay to ask for help because we are here to help you and you are not alone in your struggle. So auditions for tonight's show began this past March, and this has been a very long road. These young adults have been working very hard performing the show that you're about to witness. They've spent the last 8 months editing and revising their performances, rehearsing for countless hours, building relationships with each other, and spreading the word by their social media about their journeys to this evening, all while being full-time students. Most of these guys just rolled in here about 20 minutes ago from their own classes, so it's really remarkable they're able to do this. I'm really proud of them for the energy and dedication and bravery to ensure that mental health is an integral part of their college campuses. It's really been a joy for me to work with these amazing young performers. We have quite a few thank yous before we get started. This evening would not be possible without the generous support of the Ruderman Family Foundation. They are an international leader in disability inclusion, and they work to eradicate stigma surrounding disability and mental illness. We would also like to thank Alchemies for sponsoring our efforts to end the shame and stigma around mental illness. Thank you very much to Tufts University and to President Monaco for hosting us this evening and for leading by example in encouraging regular conversations on college campuses about mental health. Very special thanks to Yolanta Kovalko and to Mark Sullivan for really actually making this evening happen. A very big thank you to our national sponsors, Janssen, Sanovian, Sage Therapeutics, and Alchemies. So now please help me welcome to the stage the debut cast of This Is My Brave's College Edition.
Hi, I'm Amani. I graduated from Duke University and now I'm doing a pre-med post-bac at Harvard.
Hi, I'm Ai Bui. I'm currently a junior at Harvard University.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I graduated from Vassar in 2017 and I just finished a pre-med post-bac at BU.
Hi, I'm Sarah Armstrong and I'm a sophomore at Lesley University.
Hi, I'm Ai Bui and I'm a junior at MIT.
Hi, I'm Allie Golden. I'm a senior at Boston University.
Hi, I'm Mallory Gothelf and I graduated from Northeastern in 2017.
Hi, I'm Josh Ludwig and I'm a freshman at Boston University. This program would not be possible without the generous support of a grant from the Ruderman Family Foundation and an Alchemies Inspiration Grant.
We extend a special thank you to Jim Dillon of Caxa Media for his videography skills.
We'd like to thank our incomparable and invaluable volunteer, Audrey Grubb.
This show would not be possible without the generous support of all of our sponsors and volunteers.
We thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
We invite you to take out your cell phones. We're a very social organization and we would love it if you took some videos and photos of the show.
Share these on your social networks with the hashtag Storytelling Saves Lives and make sure to tag at This Is My Brave. What you are about to witness defines what it means to live brave, and we need your help to tell the world we're here, so share away.
However, if
you could please make sure that your phones are on silent, we would greatly appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take you on a journey tonight. You will laugh and you will cry. You will be enlightened and inspired because this is the reality. 1 in 3 college freshmen struggle with a mental illness. But because we don't talk about mental illness enough, people suffer in silence. And this changes tonight, right here on this stage. We are shining a light on mental illness to show the world that we are your friends, family members, the co-captain of your club soccer team, the person sitting across from you in English class, and we're even your professors and mentors. We hope through our storytelling that you will better understand mental illness and will be able to be supportive to those in your life who may experience it. It's really a privilege to sit in the audience and take in these powerful and vulnerable stories from our storytellers. You may feel a piece of yourself reflected in these stories shared this evening. We've had audience members tell us after the show that they never realized they dealt with anxiety or depression until they heard our storytellers. And this is always the first step towards finding help. On page 15 of our playbill is a link to a mental health screening through a partnership with Mental Health America. It's a really great way for you to get a read on your own mental health. Take that information to your mental health or to your healthcare provider. So if at any time you need to step out during the show, please feel free to do so. So let's get started. Please welcome our first brave storyteller performing I Could Have Sworn, Sarah Horowitz.
When I was a kid, I used to hate summers. Now, I hadn't always hated them. Summers used to mean camping in Bar Harbor and surviving off the diet of Spam. It used to mean swimming at the local pool and unintentionally becoming queen of the belly flop. It used to mean sweating popsicles and sticky fingers, razor scooters and secret playhouses, hours of tanning and subsequent aloe vera. That is, until my dad had a midlife crisis and added an additional member to the family. Now, her name was the Lost Retainer, and she was a 41-foot hunter sailboat, which was my father's eternal pride and joy. Summers changed when she arrived. Now, she was a behemoth of a ship with wide hips and billowing sails, and she held herself with a lazy confidence due to her sheer size and weight. Now, summers went from summer camps and sleepovers to 2-week sailing trips down the northeast coast. Now, for many reasons, things weren't great. I mean, they pretty dysfunctional family marooned on a boat in the middle of the ocean. It's like putting a bunch of firecrackers in a box and shaking it. But it wasn't all bad. We would dance to Jimmy Buffett, and I quickly learned all the words to Cheeseburger in Paradise. Since it was my dad's boat, we live off of my dad's diet, spaghetti and Toblerone. My dad would put all the sails out, and we would heel at such an angle that you could almost kiss the waves. My mom screaming in fear the entire time, which we thought was hilarious. And then an accident happened. One summer, right about here. We'd become too comfortable with Mother Nature, taking her for granted and never taking her seriously. So one day, she gave us a little reminder. I remember wind. It was wind, like a lot of wind. Now, there are a couple big issues with PTSD. One of them has to do with verbal memory. Now, during a stressful event, your amygdala sends alarm bell to many places in your body, which can signal to your body to fight, flight, or freeze. Now, this alarm bell is sent to many places, including the prefrontal cortex, which can evaluate the amygdala's threat response and can dampen it if the threat isn't actually dangerous. But in individuals with PTSD, not only is the amygdala working in overdrive, but the prefrontal cortex and brain areas essential to language are shutting down. So what does this mean? Essentially, I can physically and emotionally re-experience aspects of my trauma in the forms of flashbacks, associations, nightmares, but I have a really hard time verbally explaining to you what happened. Sting of rain against my face, that orange shirt I was wearing clinging to my body, drenched, the shrill of wind as it hits metal, the sound of Mom screaming, like truly screaming. I'd never heard that before. It sounded tinny, sharp. I'd imagine that's what helplessness sounds like. The feeling, the textured deck underneath my curled toes, the smell of the ocean when it's vengeful. It smells like salt and petrichor and buried things and anger. Oh shit, he said. The sky, black. The shaking of the waves and the sound they make like a boom and then a sizzle, crackling and burning, the tipping of the boat and water, too much water, so much water. I'm alone, so alone, gravity. Another big issue with PTSD is something called memory fragmentation. Now, during a stressful event, your hippocampus, which is in charge of long-term memory storage as well as contextualizing events, is dysregulated. This means that memories concerning chronology, context, time, place are not being stored. Now, I remember elements of the event, flashes of memory, but nothing is sequential, outline, focused until certain things are too real, too focused, intrusive. The brain keeps going back to the memory and playing it over and over again, trying to make out the narrative beneath the confusion, unable to get out of the loop as it stumbles, stops, and skips back again. We're sailing somewhere, and at some point the sky went dark, like black, and I remember being alone. No, Dad, I was alone. I remember, I think I remember, but I remember the feeling of rain and darkness. I don't remember which came first. And my toes on the floor of the boat deck. Mom, she's screaming. It's like tin sharp. I could have sworn that's what helplessness sounds like. Orange shirt sticking to my stomach. Oh shit, you said. I'm alone. I thought the sails ripped. But maybe they did, and maybe it was just my skin that teared, but I don't remember blood. Maybe it was just a page from my brain, a chapter of my cortex, ripped and thrown into the ocean, or maybe a little piece of myself, floating on sea foam, drowned. We're sailing, though. We're sailing somewhere. And every time I got back on the boat after that summer, the accident would happen over and over and over again. A small lean of the hull, and I felt the boat tipping into the sea. Winds over 10 miles per hour, and we were back to sailing out of control. Ripples turn into 8-foot seas, rain clouds into hurricanes, a breeze into gale force winds. One small nudge of a memory would fling me back into that broken day, and I couldn't remember anything, but I could remember everything. But most of all, I had absolutely no control. I hated how out of control my brain and body had become under the beck and call of my trauma, so I controlled what I could. I began to control what I ate, and I developed an eating disorder with social anxiety and depression close behind. So many of these things tie together into this intricate, fragmented web. It's hard to find the source of it all. And then there comes a point when it doesn't really matter how it started, but that it's there, all of it, and it's choking me. So, as I entered college, my trauma came with me, a real interesting dynamic duo. But when I attended my first neuroscience course and the teacher started to discuss PTSD, things took a sharp turn. I started to find out what was going on with my brain, what was happening to my body, that there were people like me out there and people out there doing something about it. Neuroscience validated my experience in the way that my family, my friends, I myself couldn't. It gave me words to an experience I wasn't able to verbalize. It gave me a language to speak and to comprehend. It made me understand that this wasn't my fault. I wasn't just being dramatic. I wasn't just making things up. My experience, all of our experiences, are real, valid, subjective, and true. So this summer has just passed. I kind of like summers now. I spent these past months taking physics to finish up my pre-med requirements and then apply to medical school. I am doing research concerning the neuroscience of PTSD. I am volunteering with organizations in my community dedicated to providing aid with individuals with trauma-related disorders. And I'm here, sharing my experience with you all. I remember the first time I tried to share my trauma with someone, my words stolen and my memories broken, and the response I got was skepticism, doubt, disbelief. And there are so many barriers, neurological, psychological, sociocultural, that keep individuals from speaking out, receiving empathy and validation and getting support. But please, just believe. Believe the things I cannot say. Believe the things you cannot see. Believe the voice I cannot find, and believe that I am brave. Because I truly, deeply, genuinely, and courageously am. Thank you. So up next, performing Darling Me is Ai Bui.
Alright, I'm gonna sit here because I'm not used to having an eye level that high up. Hello, can everyone hear me clearly? Awesome. Hi, I am a third-year architecture student at MIT. I'm a designer, an occasional drunk dancer, and a dork. I'm I. I, as in I, the decoration of one's ego, the simplest form of acceptance of oneself. I, also as in the Chinese word for love. I as in the fusion of these two meanings, as in loving myself, as in me. I've grown into my name after countless and countless battles. 6 years of anorexia, 2 bulimia, almost 10 of depression and anxiety, and most recently, chronic PTSD thanks to repeated sexual assault by a trusted authority. In all these years, I've fought myself to nothing but blood, vomit, skin, and bones. In all these years, I've wanted to vanish and to become air. But thankfully, and apparently, I seem to be pretty indestructible. And so, in order to celebrate the superpower of mine, I decided to write myself a song. Now, this song is written purely from instinct, my heart, maybe a couple of YouTube ukulele tutorials, since I have zero professional training or experience in music whatsoever. But I figured it wouldn't hurt to try. After all, I wouldn't be here today in front of you, alive, without trying. All these lonely days, tears streaming down your face. All these lonely years, burying in your fears. All these darkest times, wondering if you'll survive. All this imaginary crowd, screaming in your mind so loud. Darling me, your bones eating at your skin, your scars are still bleeding. Darling me, you're wondering where you are, you're wondering who you are. Who you are. If you're far from who you are. Darling me, don't you worry. Darling me, one day you'll be happy. Darling me. Dara, 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 darling me. Dara, 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 darling me. All these sleepless nights, why used to running when there's no light? All these breathless blackouts, why used to screaming when there's no sound? All these numbing breakdowns, finding your peace, never to be found. Doing what you thought you did best, filling up your emptiness. Darling me, your bones breaking at your skin, your scars are still bleeding. Darling me, you're wondering where you are, you're wondering who you are. Who you are. If you're far from who you are. Darling me, don't you worry. Darling me, one day you'll be happy. Darling me, don't you worry. Darling me, one day you'll be free. One day you will love me. Dara, 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 darling 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 me. One day you will love me. Thank you. And up next, performing my bipolar story, is Josh Ludwig.
Hi, my name is Josh Ludwig, and this is my mental health story. It was September of 2018, in the beginning of my freshman year at Boston University, when I experienced my first bipolar manic episode with psychosis. The week before college, I was struggling with extreme anxiety and depression, the worst of my life up to that point. The whole idea of being on my own and having to make new friends terrified me. However, as soon as I got to Boston, the energy of the city and being on campus was exciting enough to push away my nerves. Suddenly, I started to feel a whole lot better about being in college. I got involved in a community service orientation program at BU called FISOP, which stands for First Year Student Outreach Program. During FISOP, we volunteered around Boston, helping local schools get ready for the school year and helping the Alzheimer's Foundation with outreach and organizational work. I started making friends during FISOP and feeling comfortable. Then a crazy coincidence happened when one of the upperclassmen leaders in the group and I discovered that we had both lost our brothers to heart conditions. Both brothers were named Michael, and both brothers were under the age of 10. This coincidence set me off, and I thought this was proof that we were living in a simulation. This could have been a possible early sign of psychosis. I instantly posted a picture with the upperclassman leader and explained the situation to my Instagram. I spent money promoting the post because I thought that I could become Instagram famous and go viral. I thought that we were going to go on the Ellen show, and I thought that we were going to go on TV because my friend's uncle was the president of CNN. Over the course of that week, I started talking a lot more than I normally did, a symptom of mania. I felt superior to those around me, another symptom of mania. At some point, I even started to feel euphoric. As my time at BU went on, I spent all-nighters talking to security guards at my dorm or exploring Boston late at night after engaging in risky behaviors. I also suddenly wanted to transfer into the business school. Next, I met a YouTuber at a BU party. As soon as I saw her, I ran up to her to tell her my life story about my brother, other famous YouTubers, and the latest gossip. We took pictures, and she even added me on Snapchat, which I thought was the coolest thing at the time. When you are experiencing mania, you have no filter and say exactly what's on your mind. As a result, I captioned pictures with this YouTuber saying that she looked better in person, which was rude and is something I regret. A day or two later, one of my brother's childhood friends, who was an upperclassman at BU, gave me something of an intervention, where he told me that this YouTuber was speaking negatively about me, most likely because of my strange and rude Instagram captions and photos with her. This made me furious, which can be another symptom of mania, and I decided that I was going to threaten to leave BU and move to California unless she got expelled. Now, I realize that there are nearly 20,000 students at BU and a wait list, so they probably wouldn't miss me too much if I left. My mom saw a specific post on my Instagram and called Student Health Services on me. The post was one of me and the YouTuber, and the caption said that I had contemplated suicide. When I got to Student Health Services, I told the counselor there of my plans to go to California unless the YouTuber got expelled. I also said I wanted to go to California to become famous, a social media influencer, and I thought that taking down a YouTuber would help get me there. This is called grandiosity, and you guessed it, it is another symptom of mania. So I started posting warnings on my Instagram, telling the YouTuber to leave campus or I would. Obviously, she didn't leave, so I called an Uber to Logan Airport, blasting my anthem and favorite song, Party in the USA, along the way. I bought a first-class plane ticket to LA, but once I got to the airport, I realized the date for the flight wasn't for another 2 weeks, so I bought another first-class plane ticket to San Francisco, where I thought I could stay with my mom's cousin. Excessive spending in a short period of time is also characteristic of a manic episode. I went through security and got to my gate, where I met a mom. I started live streaming on my Instagram with this mom, and someone even made a fan account for her, so we must have been pretty entertaining. As I was live streaming, the BU police accosted me at the airport, telling me that I was being involuntarily sectioned, which meant that I had no choice but to go with them. Looking back, I should have been terrified, but the mania gave me so much adrenaline that I wasn't even scared. The police were sectioning me because of the post I mentioned, where I said I had contemplated suicide. The police thought that I was a potential harm to myself, so I was brought to a hospital in an ambulance from the airport, where I underwent a psych evaluation. I was then sent to a mental hospital, where I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 with psychotic features. I had to take a year-long medical leave from Boston University, and during that year, I underwent inpatient and outpatient mental health treatment. 1 month ago, I returned to BU as a freshman. Now, the things I have in place that will help keep me healthy include medication, psychiatrist and therapist, and lots of strategies to take care of myself. I am ready to start fresh. To this YouTuber, I'd like to formally apologize for everything I put you through. You deserve none of it, and I hope you understand that my behaviors were a reflection of my mental health. The reason I'm sharing this revealing story is so more people know what mania looks like, so it can get caught earlier on. Neither I nor my family really knew what mania was before my manic episode. So even though I cringe heavily when I tell this embarrassing story, I hope I can help to raise awareness and break the stigma of bipolar disorder and mental illness as a whole. Thank you. Up next, performing Book Club of Our Generation, here is Ai Bui.
So I realized that I look like, I just realized I'm dressed like Zooey Deschanel, but my name is Allie, so don't get excited. And I'm gonna talk for like 7 minutes or so. My story is pretty common. It starts like most. I was nervous in high school. I'd get worried about a lot of things. I'd get worried about regular things like an upcoming test or keeping up with the latest trends, which I was never really good at. Can someone explain to me why Crocs are back in fashion? Didn't get it the first time, still don't get it. But I would also get worried about small things, and I usually couldn't figure out why those things made me so anxious. Like just going to my part-time job every week or picking out an outfit before school seemed impossible. Like even in high school, I couldn't pick out an outfit, and back then, literally every outfit was just a t-shirt from Aeropostale. And that's it. Spoiler alert, had anxiety and depression, but I didn't know that in 10th grade. The only thing I knew for certain back then was the Pythagorean theorem, which I definitely use every day of my real life. Yeah, fans of math. I realized I had anxiety when a really good friend of mine pulled me aside in the hallway at school and said, "Allie, I have to tell you something. It's kind of personal." She was clearly very nervous, so in my head, I'm thinking, oh man, she's about to tell me something really big. I hope she's not going to try to recruit me to sell makeup on Facebook. It would have put me in a real tough spot because I'm very anti-pyramid schemes, but also very pro-local businesses. Thankfully, she was not with Avon. She said, "Allie, I've been going to therapy for a while now, and it's great. But the reason I'm telling you this is because I've noticed a lot of the symptoms I have in you. And I want you to know that if you need anything, I'm here for you." That was undoubtedly hard for her to say, but it really changed my life. I re-examined myself and my needs. Within the next couple months, I started going to therapy. I started taking antidepressant medication. It was my own personal eat, pray, love. 2 thumbs up. After a while, things were looking and feeling a lot better for me. There were obviously ups and downs throughout high school. It was a little like a roller coaster. Actually, it was a lot like a roller coaster because there was that time when I threw up on myself during a cross-country race. My hot take is that running is bad for you. Yeah, fans of not running. Got a nice diverse crowd tonight, guys. After high school, I was really excited to move away from home when college started. My brilliant self thought it would be a great idea to start this brand new chapter in my life without continuing therapy because college is too far away to commute to a therapist, and finding a new person just seemed like a chore. So I swept all my problems right under the rug. And I'm sure some of you are aware that is the only kind of sweeping that happens in college. No parents, no chores. Dad, hi. September of my freshman year at college went pretty well, but by October, I was really struggling. And I couldn't figure out why. I would have bad days for seemingly no reason at all. I remember one day in particular, it was beautifully sunny out. It was the head of the Charles Regatta, which is some boat/sport thing. I barely understand land sports, so water sports are just a lost cause. But the main attraction that day, at least for me, was this huge line of vendor tents just handing out free samples. Like merch, snacks, drinks. I went grocery shopping on a college budget. It was great. I was walking around. I even tried one of those like LaCroix fizzy drinks, like for the first time, and I felt so fancy, like drinking my fizzy water. It was great day, cloud nine. Then things started to wind down, I guess, once the boats tired themselves out, not really sure. So I started walking back to my dorm, and it was less than a half mile away from where I was. But sometime during that walk, I started crying and couldn't figure out why. Was I sad? Was I angry? Did I just need a Snickers bar? I don't know. In hindsight, really easy for me to see that I was depressed and I was just not getting the level of treatment that had gotten me through high school. But I didn't realize that at the time. On that day, in that moment, I was just sitting on the sidewalk crying. Ugh, and now on top of all this, I'm allergic to LaCroix. Thought it was a horrible reaction. That's literally the only thing I could think of. However, within a few weeks' time, I realized that I needed to get back in therapy, so I took myself to the mental health center on campus. And given the limited resources and the super high demand of their office, they were able to make me feel better and set me on the right track. Now, some of my closest friends and obviously my family have been with me since before I started my journey with anxiety and depression, so they've seen me at my lowest points. And that's really a testament to how great they are as people. If you're going to be friends with someone who burst out crying on a day full of like boats and sun and free snacks, you have to be a great human being to continue that relationship. So shout out to friends and family. My friends tell me that the person I am today is completely different than the person I was even just a year ago. Maybe that's because I've gone cold turkey on Fortnite. But maybe it's because I seem to enjoy life a little bit more. And I make life a little bit more enjoyable for my friends, which is extremely rewarding. Today, seeing the abundance of students on campus that take advantage of resources provided by the Mental Health Center makes me happy that people are addressing the issue of mental health and they're willing to talk about it. It's so common to be in therapy now. It's like the book club of my generation. Our grandmothers are all playing bridge. Moms are all off at book club, like sipping wine and reading 50 Shades. Millennials are all in therapy. It's great. I've become a mental health advocate in my peer group on campus and at home. I love being the person that someone can turn to when they have a question about anxiety or depression, or they just need to vent. Now I'm the friend who's giving advice about anxiety, which is way better than the friend who sells makeup on Facebook. Thank you. Up next, performing We Fall, We Fight, We Rhyme is Allie Gold.
Hi there. Fun fact, I don't really do heels ever, so we're gonna hope this goes okay. I still remember hearing my phone ring. I saw her name light up on my screen. My stomach dropped and my gut twisted inside of me. It was my friend, Emily. I picked up and listened, but through her sobs and hyperventilating, I could barely comprehend what she was saying. I breathed silently. I'm here, I'm listening. You're gonna be okay, where are you? She told me that she had overdosed. She then got into her car, and while driving, she vomited all over herself in the steering wheel. Emily told me I was her first call. She cried and told me she didn't know what to do. I instructed her to pull the car over and park on a side street. I called 911 and asked her to stay on the phone with me until I found her. Thank you for calling me, Em. Hang in there. I held Emily's hand in the ambulance, and as she lied in her emergency room bed, she feebly muttered that she felt scared, guilty, and ashamed. 3 years ago, at the age of 21, I helped save my best friend's life. Now, I know that stories often end here, A person's life is miraculously saved. The unlikely hero walks away with people thanking them, shaking their hands, pat on the back, commending them via social media. That isn't my story. I was not unlikely. On that day, 3 years ago, I helped save my best friend's life because I had been in a very similar situation just 3 years before that, in 2013. I was a newly minted high school graduate at the time, a young, burnt out, high achieving, and anxious individual who spent the last 2 years living between divorced parents' houses in the beds of various psychiatric treatment facilities. I felt lost, overwhelmed, ashamed, and unfulfilled. Fortunately, I worked with incredible, inspiring mental health counselors and phenomenal caring treatment teams. I was fortunate to work with people who didn't give up on me, even at times when I wanted to give up on myself. 6 years ago, at 2 a.m. on a fall morning in 2013, I overdosed on prescription pills. I wrote a suicide note to comfort and apologize to my family and friends. I wanted to escape the endless cycle of shame, guilt, feeling like a burden. Inside my mind, I had convinced myself that everyone would be happier without me. I got in my car and drove away, still unable to comfort and apologize to myself. My first call was to my psychiatrist. I wanted someone to know where I was and what had happened. Dr. Murray reminded me how profoundly detrimental my suicide would be to my sister, brothers, parents, and friends. Even my drug-induced numbness could not prevent a waterfall of tears. He reminded me that I mattered, and that's what I needed: connection and purpose. He encouraged me to pull over, sending an ambulance to my location and saving my life. Initially, while hospitalized, I refused to see my family. Shame and remorse inundated me. I was protecting them from seeing me at my lowest. But eventually I let my parents visit because it was actually hurting them more that they couldn't stand next to my hospital bed, comfort me, and hold my hand. Fortunately, after my attempt, I reestablished my passions and drive to create a new sense of self. It wasn't easy, but I had amazing people who supported me every step of the way. Recently, Dr. Murray reminded me that, quote, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. The Mark Twain quote further inspires me to inspire others. The parallels of how Dr. Murray saved my life and how I, in turn, helped save Emily's 3 years later left me determined to use my experience as a platform to help others who struggle. With a clear direction of my values, capabilities, and aspirations, I was eager to utilize these experiences to help me in my career. I wanted to reduce the stigma around mental illness and promote healing for others. I wanted to get involved in my community and make a difference. My mantra has always been inspire and be inspired, and that's exactly what I hoped to do. Okay, fast forward 3 years to 2019. I'm standing in the back stairwell of a psychiatric treatment center. The lights are flickering and the smell is familiar. A young girl is lying on the floor with hands covering her face, which is flooded with tears. Why does it matter? She asks. I don't want to live. I don't matter. It's hopeless. I kneel beside her and inhale and exhale deeply. While her palms shelter her face, I glance at the right side pocket of my navy blue scrubs. There's a badge. It has a photo of me wearing a big smile, and underneath the words residential counselor. The name of the hospital is familiar to me. I had been a patient there before. Actually, I had been a patient there twice when I was a teenager. I remembered feeling overwhelmed, lonely, ashamed, and defeated during those times. I remember the physical and emotional drain so intense that it was hard to move. It was hard to think. It was hard to ask for help, and it was hard to hope. I gently returned my gaze back to the young girl lying face down on the floor. In a soft yet confident voice, I say, "You matter." I validate her experience, acknowledging that in this moment, she's feeling a lot of strong emotions and that it's okay to have strong feelings. It's a part of the human experience. It's a part of the journey. She looks up from her hands, wearing red, swollen, tearful eyes, and wipes her face with her sleeve. I tilt my head to align with hers, and after moments of silence, I tell her, there are people, even some people who work in the mental health field, who have also had really tough times. And some of these people have also felt super overwhelmed and felt like they wanted to give up. These people are here today, doing amazing things in the world, living meaningful lives, because there were people in their lives that didn't give up on them, even at times when they wanted to give up on themselves. I can't imagine how tough things feel right now. What I can say is that I hear you, and I also believe in you. You're worth it. You're possible. You matter. I have hope for her future, and I'm so, so grateful that I now have hope for mine. History continues to rhyme, and I'm learning that these shared experiences, the roller coaster of emotions, the highs, the lows, these are what connect us. These moments are invaluable when we're able to be authentic, compassionate, and vulnerable. I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree. I work in a mental health focused research lab, and I'm interning as a peer advocate and then employed as a mental health counselor in a psychiatric hospital where I was a patient twice. I have the opportunity to inspire people because I've been so blessed to have been inspired by so many incredible people, people that never gave up on me, even at times when I wanted to give up on myself. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. I don't know about you, but I think it's time for our rhymes to include our authentic experiences, the challenges and the victories with mental health. I'm driven to create a ripple effect of eradicating shame around mental illness, replacing it with heightened self-worth and an ability to empower others. It's time to connect, to inspire, and to be inspired. Thank you. And up next, performing a song for broken hearts, is Sarah Armstrong.
One of the last things I remember before I left my public middle school was the tiles. I was just beginning 8th grade, and instead of being upstairs on the 4th floor with the yellow tiles where the 8th graders learned, I was on the 1st floor in a classroom down a lonely hall with beige tiles with a mix of students in 6th to 8th grade. I knew I didn't belong here. Many of these students were prone to behavioral outbursts, while I was just desperately trying to do the classwork that the rest of the students were doing upstairs. I excelled in academics, but I needed a smaller environment to learn in. I was put here because I was scared. I was traumatized. Just a few months earlier, one of my teachers had trapped me inside an empty classroom and continuously screamed at me for a half hour. Unfortunately, it had affected me so much that I was placed in the 1st floor alt-ed classroom. 2 weeks into 8th grade, I left my public middle school in hopes to find a new school that was better accommodating. After spending over 45 horrid days at what was supposed to be a 45-day assessment program, I was placed at a school about an hour west of where I lived. This school was where I spent grades 8 through 11, and with each passing year, I slowly came to realize that this so-called therapeutic school was doing me much more harm than good. Instead of helping me through my challenges, the staff at this school shamed me for them and constantly gave me unnecessary monitoring. During my junior year, after losing many a close friendship, I had my lowest downfall, and I seriously questioned whether I would make it out okay. Thankfully, I transitioned out of that school for my senior year and was placed at another school about an hour north of my hometown. Here, I was welcomed and accepted, and the staff members fought alongside me to help me achieve my goals. And then, I got accepted to Lesley University. Not only that, but I was also accepted into their honors program. Once I got the letter in the mail with the acceptance and the 2 scholarships, I knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. I graduated on my 18th birthday, and since starting school at Lesley, I have been passionate in my studies. I have always wanted to be a teacher. I decided to major in special education because looking back, my family and I had to go through so much to get the accommodations I needed for my emotional challenges. My biggest hope as a future teacher is that no child or their family should have to fight that hard for the accommodations they need. Additionally, I feel that my experiences will help me relate with special needs students and assist them in reaching their goals. I want to give my future students the care and support that I failed to receive in middle school and most of high school. Unfortunately, I was not able to stay in public school because they were unable to accommodate my needs. What I want to get out of this speech, especially as a former student who struggled emotionally and a future special ed teacher, is that public school systems need to have a better grasp on how to accommodate students with special needs, specifically those with emotional disabilities, so that these students can have the option to stay in a mainstream school environment while feeling confident and appropriately accommodated. Because although I value the time I spent in my therapeutic high schools, I still had to take an hour-long bus ride to and from school every day, and I missed out on events at my public school, such as prom and senior week. Although it was upsetting that I missed out on these events, I do appreciate the constant support I received then and now. I've been blessed with a wonderful support team, including family members, aunts and uncles, cousins, friends, teachers, therapists, one of my closest friends who has given me constant support since middle school, the new and long-lost friends I made at Leslie who have made college so much more enjoyable, and my amazing boyfriend who has been with me through my accomplishments and my downfalls for almost 4 years. I don't know what I would have done without them. But despite all this support, I will always have my challenges. At this point, I accept that, but I've grown so much since all those years ago. I may not have been able to spend 8th grade in the hall with the iconic yellow tiles, and I may not have gone to public high school, but the therapeutic schools that I spent my time at helped me emotionally prepare for the post-high school world, so I can become the teacher I know I can be. In the end, I'm willing to take on whatever will come my way in the future. This is my brave. And then I would love to share with you a song that I wrote that accompanies the speech. It's night, I close my eyes, it's time for the world to fall asleep. Does anyone feel my pain, the pain of being alone? Why, oh, why do I feel this way? Why, oh, why can't I find a place to stay? I'm swimming in water clear, but suddenly the water turns black. I struggle and gasp for air, but she keeps on pulling me down. Why, oh, why do I feel this way? Why, oh, why can't I find I learned it hits you when you least expect. One day I'll find my own, and maybe it'll actually last. Why? Oh, why? Why do I feel this way? Why? Oh, why? Why can't I find a place to stay? Why can't I find a place to stay? Thank you. Thank you. Up next, performing Entropy and Other Closed System Problems, here's Amani Carson.
Wait, never mind. It's working.
Thank you.
Hi. I can't use the mic. Okay. Oh my God. So I was doing some thinking recently, which is shocking to me. And it occurred to me that my spirit animal might be a rabbit. But not for the reason you might think. I don't have any children. It's because I have very wide eyes, mostly due to a near perpetual state of confusion. I eat a lot of leaves, mostly of the kale and seaweed variety. And I recently found out that rabbits can scare themselves to death. And I'm pretty sure when I found that out, I nodded very solemnly and I said, yeah, that me. Yeah. So, okay, let me put this in context. My fearfulness ranges from jumping every time the man at Five Guys calls out an order, to squawking when my friends speak to me after a moment of silence, all the way to 100. And when I mean 100, I mean this one time when I was in 6th grade, I called 911 because I thought someone was breaking into my house to murder me. Turns out it was a mouse upstairs on a mouse trap. I called 911 and there were 10 cops outside for a mouse. That was embarrassing. I was not allowed to use the phone for a very long time after that. And then when I was in college, I called campus security to report what I thought was a bomb, which turned out to be an unclaimed care package. Again, that was on me. I overreacted. And this weekend, I ran out of my apartment at about 11 o'clock at night because I was locked out of my bedroom. I was not locked out of my apartment, I was locked out of my bedroom. And I was convinced that the murderer had snuck into my room while I was in the kitchen and was waiting to kill me. It had not occurred to me that the murderer would probably want me to be able to get into my room. And I fled the house, ran screaming through the streets in my pajamas to my friend's house so she could come back and help me break into my home. And when I crawled through the window, I found out that it was my parka that had slid my internal lock and locked me out of my room. And I found that out when I crawled through my window with a large knife in one hand and raid in the other. I didn't have any mace. It was awkward. There's a video. But the funny thing is most people don't guess that from looking at me. I'm very much like this aesthetic of being put together. It's probably because I'm a preppy New Englander, born and raised. And I have very much internalized this effortlessly perfect, preppy aesthetic. That kind of slip into your slimming, shaping black Lulu leggings so you can work on yourself without looking like you're actually trying to work on yourself. It's very strange. If you think about the principle behind athleisure, it makes no sense. Why are you hiding your insecurities while you're trying to improve yourself? We all know what you're doing. You're at the gym. You're trying to get better. There's no reason to be dressed like this, especially for $100 a pair of pants. It's absurd. You should just own it, honestly, unless you're one of those trash hole type people who go to the gym to flex on people. That's just excessive, but you know who you are. While I might question the philosophy,
behind this kind of preppy aesthetic, I still practice the lifestyle. I've actually gotten so good at projecting my desired image, no matter how divorced it is from what I'm actually feeling inside, that sometimes I think that I've ironed and tailored my personality into like a bespoke Brooks Brothers blouse or something. And I know I must have curated my image because I didn't always exude this kind of calm, cool collectedness. I wasn't a carefree child because I cared about a whole lot of things, and I cared a whole lot about those whole lot of things. But now when I care about something, it's like I'm, I don't know, compostable. Like, okay, hear me out of this. So it's like I break down very easily, but no one actually sees it because I'm pretty well contained in something with a label. I'm also biodegradable and suburban, but that's less relevant. Anyway, scientific experts have studied this little closed system we got here, and they have found me to be in a slight state of disorder. I actually found that in college when I went to see the psychiatrist for the first time, not out of my own volition, but because I was fresh out of the hospital. I'd spent 2 weeks on the cardiac floor with broken heart syndrome, which is basically when your heart exhibits all the symptoms of a heart attack, not because of a blockage, but because of stress. It's the thing that happens to old people when they lose the love of their life, and it also happens to exceptionally lame college freshmen who overwork themselves trying to create the perfect college experience. I, too, wish I could say some hot senior boy broke my heart, but I'm pretty sure the tipping point was a math quiz. So let us all wallow for a moment in secondhand embarrassment. In my defense, I thought that college was supposed to be the best 4 years of my life, and I wanted to set the bar very high. I thought that obsessing over my success and giving in to my every ambitious compulsion was what was going to set me apart and what was going to make me go harder even when my body said, please stop, please feed me, please rest me, please, for the love of God, stop. And here's the thing. I recently found out that the root of my drive and my tendency to override all forms of self-care is not actually my obsession, but my pervasive fear, like a bunny rabbit. I've been unnaturally fearful for so long that my biochemical threshold for stress might have actually been reset. I'm basically always in fight or flight mode to the point where I don't even realize I'm anxious. As in, there is no discernible difference between me working at a computer in a public library and me holding a stranger's wrist in said public library so she wouldn't pummel my face in. That's not a meme, that's something that happened to me on opening night of this show. I'm still living, I still did the show. Anywho, when I went to see the psychiatrist, they had me fill out an intake survey, and there was one question in particular that I will never forget. It asked me if I had any strategies that helped me get through the day. And I said, aha, I know what this means, I'm a psych major. I got you, you can't outsmart me. This is a question about self-care. And it probably is for well-adjusted people who have a good handle on their lives, but for the rest of us, it's a straight-up trap. I didn't know that at the time, so I thought I was being clever and wrote down some of my life hacks. A notable one being that I take pictures of my outlets and my locked door every day before I leave, so I won't have a nervous breakdown when I'm halfway across campus and worried someone's going to break into my room, lock the door, hide there, and try to murder me. Sound familiar? Or that my heater is going to turn itself on, spontaneously combust, burn down my house, because this has happened to so many people. But I didn't want to seem completely batty, so I decided to leave out how I'm super duperstitious. Like, I make a wish on 11/11, and I say Jack Rabbit every morning when I wake up because my sister's hippie kindergarten teacher said that it was good luck if you do it at the start of every month, and I decided to multiply my blessings. See, there's a method to my madness. I've heard that good luck rituals are just self-fulfilling prophecies, but rationality is often lost on me when it comes to my, you know what, we're going to keep calling these life hacks because I'm trying to be more of a firm believer in self-care and it makes me feel good. As you can imagine, with all of these pictures, I have a very serious iPhone storage problem and a psychiatric problem. According to the psychiatrist, I have these obsessive thoughts that I deal with using compulsive actions. But according to my medical file, I'm just a little bit anxious. I don't actually know how I convinced him I was okay enough that he didn't write anything down, but I did. I'm equally unsure of how I convinced myself that I was okay enough not to take 4 years of free therapy that I clearly needed. But I did. Rip to all those stable people, but I'm different. Anyway, I know why I did it. I did it because I was busy. I didn't think I was going to get another shot at accomplishing everything on my college bucket list. And I did not feel that I had the time to put my whole life on hold for the type of intensive rewiring that was actually going to be necessary. I also didn't have it in me to trust a random outsider. I still don't. And that's kind of the foundation of a good therapeutic relationship. And apparently, according to BuzzFeed and Cosmopolitan, a functional romantic relationship, which is just nightmarish for me. But I digress, it's fine. I am looking into hypoallergenic cats and not telling my mother until the last possible minute. The other reason why I did it was because it didn't seem like enough of a problem. I'm the type of person who will literally be getting attacked in a library and ask politely and quietly for a librarian because I don't want to disturb people. Apparently, you're supposed to scream help. Newsflash. So, if you consider the fact that my family was super poor, like technically homeless at certain points in time, poor, like I used to get to school early just because I had to take a shower at school because we didn't have water, not to get closer to my teachers, which is what a lot of my friends thought. Okay. And if you weigh that against, oh, I just do silly things because I'm afraid of things that won't actually happen, then it's pretty easy to see what's going to win. And as close as I am with my family, I'd honestly feel worse if I put anything else on them. So in my head, if I could handle it, I should handle it. And overall, I did. Since I'm not quite yet ready for a complete overhaul, I've decided to adapt, like Catwoman. I am trying to give up this I don't give a what attitude and embrace my eccentricities as part of my aesthetic. Because I feel like claiming them still gives me that euphoric feeling of control without forcing me to compartmentalize and repress every single feeling, curate my expression, analyze every reaction. That's very tiring. I can't do that. I have an online planner, and I change things without ripping out the pages of a $75 Lilly Pulitzer planner, which was really not a sustainable life choice, so thank you, Google Calendar, for coming through for me. I have rituals with my friends, so I won't randomly decide that they hate me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes we slip up. We're doing our best. I found a career path that I love, so I can work like crazy without feeling burnt out, and I have productive hobbies, so I can take time off from work without feeling like I'm wasting a whole lot of time. Oh, also, I use OneDrive, so I don't run out of storage on my phone. This is not an ad. I'm just really excited I can download simple apps. Yeah. So I've done a lot of work on this little closed system, and I do think the boundary between myself and my surroundings is changing bit by bit. I'm still pretty close, but thankfully I'm not isolated. And I'm planning for the future instead of simply reacting to things that happen to me. I'm worrying about the future, but I'm still planning for it, which is a huge deal for me because that means I value my survival and by extension my health and well-being. And I couldn't always say that, so I'm considering that an epic win. And before you tell me that winning is not everything, you must remember that I am from New England. And most of the time, the wound is still fresh, Tom Brady. It's just what we do. Thank you. Up next, performing What I Wish I Knew is ecstatic Baltimore Ravens fan, Mallory Gothelf. Thank you for that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still pretty thrilled about that win, and I went into work the next day and bragged a whole lot about it and made my coworkers very unhappy, so I do what I can. It is a moment in time that has been permanently etched into my memory. The passing of 4 years has done little to diminish its clarity. I remember sitting on the steps outside of the CVS on Mass Avenue. I remember staring blankly at the shoppers across the street at Whole Foods, watching how effortlessly they went about their day-to-day lives, desperately wishing for that sense of normalcy in my own. I remember the way the bitter Boston air nipped at my face, a chill not nearly as cold as the one I felt settle into my soul. I remember every painful thought I had. They came in rapid-fire succession. Why do I have to hurt so deeply? Am I a burden to my family? Does my boyfriend even love me? Do I have friends? Why did I ever think I'd be cut out for college? Is life worth living? Why am I alive? And then the thoughts went quiet as a painful truth set in. I don't want to be alive. That's where the clarity of that moment ends. From there, it all became a montage of events so choppy, to this day, my memory still glosses over many of the details. I remember getting up from the steps. I remember going back to treatment the next day. I remember agreeing to a medical leave. I remember packing up my dorm room. I remember walking through Logan Airport, ready to head home for said medical leave. And I remember making a quiet promise to myself as I boarded the plane, a promise that this time would be different. This time I would engage in my recovery. This time I owed it to myself to fight back. And here I stand, 4 years, 16 medications, a handful of therapists and psychiatrists, and a few stints in treatment later. The promise I made to myself has been tested, but it remains unbroken. I went back to those same steps not too long ago. I wish I could end my story here and tell you I'd overcome my mental illness, and in that moment I felt as though my demons had been silenced. That wouldn't be the truth, though. Mental illness isn't something to conquer. I still struggle. I continue to have episodes, painful moments, and times where I come face to face with what feels like the end. And yet, standing on those steps, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride wash over me, despite having to continue navigating life with a mental illness. I was standing on the very steps I never thought I'd get up from, and I was alive. You see, I know what it's like to feel like you're at the end of your rope. I know what it's like to have everyone around you telling you it will be okay and feeling as though that couldn't be further from the truth. I know what it feels like when you truly believe there is no way out. I want you to know that those feelings and experiences are valid and real. But I stand here today to tell you that's not where our stories have to end. I stand here to tell you that there is another side. And I stand here to tell you the things I wish I knew sitting outside CVS. The things I hope will stick with you if you ever find yourself in the throes of a mental illness. 1, you matter. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You deserve the space you take up. It's easy to let your illness tell you otherwise. In fact, I can almost guarantee at some point it will tell you otherwise. So I will repeat this mantra one more time for the negative thoughts lingering in the back of your mind. You matter. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You deserve the space you take up. 2, finding the right treatment isn't easy. It's a frustrating process that can involve countless medications, different therapies, hospital stays, and sometimes a Hail Mary attempt to try every bullet point that WebMD says will help treat your illness. With that being said, there is a treatment out there for you. Treatment has come a long way and only continues to evolve and improve. I know it's hard to go through the trial and error, but please hold on. The next treatment may be the one that changes your life. 3, you are worthy of love. Some or maybe many days you will find that hard to believe, but your illness, your story, and your pain do not make you unlovable. It makes you human. And being a human is messy and complicated. In fact, the pieces of you that you don't believe are worthy of love are often the pieces that connect us to one another. So if you haven't heard it today, I'll say it for you now. You are loved. 4, some days are going to flat out suck. Recovery isn't linear. It pains me to have to utter both of those sentences, but I want to be realistic. The days that suck aren't going to be forever, although they may feel like it. Find something to hold on to, big or small. There is no such thing as a stupid reason to live. Truthfully, it was often the voice of Michael Scott and the failing paper business Dunder Mifflin that gave me a reason to smile long enough to see another day. I've watched that show countless times. I think of scenes as I read that every time. And 5, one day your illness may punch you in the face. Perhaps you won't duck the blow, but you'll connect a few punches of your own, suddenly realizing how strong you have become. What I'm really trying to say is you absolutely stand a chance in this fight. And if you ever need someone to tell you they believe in you or love you, I'll be more than happy to be your hype girl. Nobody should have to do this alone, and I never want anyone to be sitting on their version of the CVS sidewalk wondering if life is worth living. I'm saying this for the 4th time as this is our 4th show, and I mean it every time I've said it. I can absolutely promise you life is worth living. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory. So I'm going to talk very slowly because our final performer has just literally arrived from his class in an Uber, and he's making his way to the stage now. He hasn't been able to make any of our other performances, and we are so thrilled he is here with us tonight. This is a wonderful performer performing Depression, Tejan A. Watson.
So this song I'm about to perform is called Depression. I've been set to perform this song so many times, and it seems like something is holding me back. I'm like low-key scared to perform it because it's like every time I get ready to perform it, like something happens. My lung collapsed a couple weeks ago before I was about to perform this song. I was gonna do it, I was all pumped up. But anyway, here it is. This is Depression. I hope you guys enjoy. And don't it feel like more bad days than good days? Jump right off the ledge and hit my head, I think I should days, and probably really would days, feeling misunderstood days. Look at what I have, I get so mad cause I gave this life everything I could days. Sleeping so evasive at night. Living feels so much like a burden, so I try to think positive, but I just get these negative signs. I guess it happens when you multiply. I can't lie, there are times where I hate my life. This permanent disposition, I'm doubting my intuition. I question what God has given. Please forgive me, God. You help me part seas, but the fear of Peter is pinning me down. I'ma drown if I don't figure this out. I'm embarrassed to ask for help, but I'm worried about myself. I'm not as strong as I let on, but I can't show no weakness. I bear my thanks, but in reality, I ain't eating. Stress got me thinking, do or die. Who am I? Thoughts of suicide. I'm feeling too obliged, running high, can't talk about the hurt inside. My mind is the darkest part of heaven. If you don't get that reference, you don't understand depression. So I'm feeling like Aladdin on this carpet, I be crashing. Goodness gracious, I am feeling like Aladdin, but no lamp will make it happen. Oh my God, I am feeling like Aladdin on this carpet, I be crashing. Got me feeling like Aladdin, but no lamp will make it happen. Depression has me gripped by the mood that I'm in. I feel like my feelings are broken. I can only feel one emotion. Dissatisfied with my life, I've been going through the motions. Distracted by the constant commotion, I'm finna fold in. I want to be by myself, but then I know it's not a good idea. I put the boxing gloves on and then I go into the ring and beat myself up over petty things. I can't feel better. The worst part of falling is how you get up. Paper prescription, I pick my pen up. That's the only way to keep my head up. I don't know where I'm heading, but I'm dreading whatever is next. Whatever piece of me's left. Whatever piece of me left. I said, I'm feeling like Aladdin on this carpet, I be crashing. Goodness gracious. Got me feeling like Aladdin, but no lamp will make it happen. Goodness gracious. I said, I'm feeling like Aladdin on this carpet, I be crashing. Got me feeling like Aladdin, but no lamp will make it happen. And the worst part of it is you don't understand it. And you barely know how to manage. You don't feel it till you see the damage. And it's almost impossible not to panic. And the worst part of it is you don't understand it. And you barely know how to manage. You don't see it till you feel the damage. And it's almost impossible not to panic. So many teens suffer from depression. And we're conditioned to suppress it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, people take advantage, Instagram it, and thrive from attention. They capitalize on follows and feelings. Support, poor comments, you hope that they're healing. Where's the love for those who honestly contemplate and in their lives, or those who wake up feeling hollow inside, or those who wake up to a horrible life from the horrors they hide? We're taught that strength is honest and part of it's having pride, but I've been getting eaten alive by what's on my mind. People walk away from faith if they don't see it with their eyes. I'm alive and I am not all right, and I admit I'm scared because people judge what's inside, but rapping about it is a testament. I won't let depression win. It's time to open up and let the blessing in. I am better than how I feel. There's more to me than my insecurity, and thinking otherwise will only poison me. I know that I'm poised to be important till those far away and close to me. Choosing to fight is showing loyalty to God and those who love you. Trust they're thinking of you. If I were there, I hug you because I understand. I pray that peace be with you, my troubled friend. I pray that you keep holding on until the very end. I pray that peace be with you, my troubled friend. I pray that you keep holding on until the very end. Until then, keep fighting, keep pushing, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Keep on pushing. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can say this part. Say, keep fighting. Keep on pushing. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Keep on pushing. Don't give up. Keep fighting, keep on pushing. Don't give up. One more time. Keep fighting, keep on pushing. Don't give up. Cool. Nice job, y'all. Nice job. Nice job.
I don't know if I even said that Tejan is a freshman at Berklee College of Music. So. All right. So this is what it means to live brave, right here on this stage. Tonight, our cast was able to shine a light on a topic we don't talk about enough. We'd like to take a moment to ask our audience to be brave with us and to please stand up if you have experienced a mental health issue or if you love someone who has. There we go. We are all affected by mental illness, and simply being here today was an incredible start to build upon a movement of people who are willing to be more open and supportive to those who are struggling. We thank Tufts very much, the Stigma Unstuck initiative, and the Tisch Scholars for partnering with us as a host of the college edition, and we really hope that this will encourage more students to openly share their stories. We're going to end in just a moment. If you would take a minute to complete the post-show surveys when you get a moment, we would really appreciate it. I'd also like to say, would you please take home your programs and read about these phenomenal performers? They're really extraordinary individuals. So we are performing this show again in the spring at 4 more Boston area colleges. This is our 4th show of the fall, and we're doing it again in the spring. And we are now accepting auditions for future college-age cast members. So if you or anyone you know would like to share your story, we really want to hear it. We would love to meet you after the show in the Alumni Lounge to eat some food, to meet our performers and sponsors, and to learn more about the mental health resources available on the Tufts campus. But first, how about one more round of applause for our storytellers?